Hello, this is Randy. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of Brain Break with Randy and Keitho. When I was a missionary, I had the opportunity of going to the Texas San Antonio mission for about 2.5 months because I couldn't get a visa to go to Venezuela. It was just taking longer. So while we were there, we had a couple of zone conferences. Just totally was amazed by the president of the mission, who was Von J. Featherstone, a newly called general authority who had never served as a mission president. He had been an executive with Skaggs and Albertson before they called him to be a mission president. And he was incredible. But he used to have us recite this poem in conferences. I wish I remembered it still from memory. But again, I only said it a couple times in our conferences. But it's called The Will to Win by Burton Braley, or Brawley. I'm not sure how he sells his name. It's Braley. He's an amazing guy. He graduated from high school in just 2 years back in the early 1900s. And he went on to write a lot of inspirational poems. But this one is called The Will to Win. Let me read it to you. If only a desire of it makes you quite mad enough never to tire of it, makes you hold all things tawdry and cheap for it, if life seems all empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and you dream is about it, if gladly you sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, lose all your terror of God or man for it, if you'll simply go after the thing that you want with all your capacity, strength, and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, stern pertinacity, if neither cold, poverty, famished and gaunt, nor sickness nor pain of body and brain can turn you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, you'll get it. I remembered that the message of that poem my whole life. I am grateful that I learned from somebody I really admired that I could achieve anything I wanted to as long as I didn't give up. I think that's a very true thing in life. We need to have the desire to obtain the things we want, but we also need to work for them, have the vision that we can accomplish them, that we don't have to wait for someone else to do them. I look back on my own life, and I mean, throughout our lives, people tell us, oh, you wouldn't like that, you wouldn't do this. In fact, I actually worked for a company that the last interview, when we were going to offer the job to the person, was we tried to talk them out of going to work for us. If we could sell them on the fact that they shouldn't work for us, they didn't even get offered the job. It was interesting because a lot of people would just say, yeah, you're right. I don't think I'd be very good at this. It would shock us because we were planning on offering them a job. But I think it was kind of a smart thing because we probably ended up with people that really wanted to be there because we had talked to them, tried to talk them out of it. Others, when we would try and talk them out of it, they would just say, no, I really want to work for you guys. This is awesome. I enjoyed seeing what you do. I think your products are great. I want to be a part of this organization. Those are the people that got the jobs. So I thought that was a rather interesting thing. As I moved into management with that company, I was kind of shocked. I mean, they tried to talk me out of the same thing. They tried to talk me out of not working for them. At the time, I needed a job, so I convinced them that they needed to hire me. But then when I sat in on the interviewing process and we talked about how to do it, I was rather shocked that that's what we did. When I first started out in sales as a young man, I was in El Paso, Texas, and I was pretty successful. I had a couple car dealers hire me to come in and teach salesmanship. I'd never sold a car in my life. And yet, in talking to these dealers, they needed some help getting their people understanding basic salesmanship and sales skills. So I did that, even though I have never considered myself a salesman. I have always considered myself as a consultant, someone who is helping my customer. If I've got the products they need and my products are what they need, great. But if there's another product out there, I'll happily tell them that as well. I have throughout my career. I've been very honest with people. If it's just a commodity, you can buy bleach from anybody. You don't have to buy it from me. I'm a little more expensive. But sometimes there are products that we sold that were better. And I say, well, everybody's got alum, but ours is a little more unique. It's got more bang for the buck because I would tell them the reasons why. Really enjoyed the part of helping people and being able to tear things apart and figure out why things weren't working. I recently was talking to a customer who was familiar with some of my work, and they brought up the fact that at a certain customer, I got called in just because they kept flooding. Their wastewater system would flood. Went in and I figured out why. The contractor had put in a piece of equipment that from the outside looked perfectly fine, except it was too small. It was supposed to flow at 60 gallons per minute, and it actually flowed at 35. So every time they'd get up above 35 gallons, this thing would keep up only for so long, and then it would just flow over and flood. It's expensive to clean up that mess. The interesting thing was we were able to get that fixed by getting them the right piece of equipment. In getting to understand their situation, I found out that even though their waste was a precious metal, they had been paying someone to haul that precious metal off. And the people that were hauling it off were never honest enough to say, yeah, we take this from you. You pay us $5,000 and then we sell it. They just took the $5,000 for hauling it off. Now, they didn't treat it as a hazardous waste, which was kind of them, but it would have been more kind to tell them the truth. And it was every container of that shipping off site was worth between $30,000 and $50,000. Believe me, they no longer dealt with that company when they found that out. Why they didn't know that, again, I don't know. But those are the kind of things that I ran into on a regular basis. One of the largest manufacturers of microchips was sending off their copper as waste. I was just astounded because we mined copper in Arizona. At one point, before we discovered a new mine, there was actually more copper on top of the ground than there was underneath the ground in Arizona. So copper was extremely valuable because we didn't know where we were going to get the rest of it. We were still mining, but they were saying that in the old leaches and just the waste material, that there was copper to be had. And they were actually starting to reprocess that copper because they didn't find any new copper under the ground. Well, they have since, and those copper mines are doing very well. And copper's in everything. I mean, it's in the wiring in the walls. It's in our cell phones, our televisions, in our cars. Google your car and say, how many pounds of copper in my car? Or better yet, use AI to do that. So I guess the thing I would say is you can accomplish anything you want to if you set your mind to it. Let me repeat this poem one more time if you can tolerate that. Again, it is called The Will to Win by Burton Brawley. If only desire of it makes you quite mad enough, never to tire of it, makes you hold all other things tawdry and cheap for it. If life seems all empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and you dream is about it, if gladly you sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, lose all your terror of God and of man for it, you'll simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength, and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, stern pertinacity, if neither cold, poverty, famished, and gaunt, nor sickness nor pain of body or brain can turn you from the thing that you want. If dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, you'll get it. Thank you again for joining me for another edition of Brain Break with Randy and Keitho. Hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And if you can, leave a comment. Have a great day.